Hey guys, it's me again. Sorry, I'm just trying to spy on the kids while they're jumping on the trampoline. I had a comment on one of my other videos when I had mentioned that I was hoping to post a video of sort of the emotional journey of coming to terms with the diagnosis of having MS. And so I realized I should probably do that since some people are hoping to see that content and hopefully help them get through their own diagnosis. So, as I've mentioned in previous videos, MS does seem to run in my family, where my mom has it and her sister has it as well. And then I was diagnosed and then my brother was diagnosed. So growing up, it was always sort of lingering in the back of my mind that, hey, I might have MS. And I think when I first started to really exhibit real symptoms, I definitely tried to deny it. Denial was easier than accepting the fact that I might have a lifelong debilitating disease. So I for sure tried to deny as long as I possibly could until it impaired my vision so much that I was not able to deny it anymore. I couldn't ignore it. It was obvious, it was there, and it needed to be dealt with. So that was scary. That first thing when my vision started to go was really, really scary. At that point, I didn't know that it could, I didn't relate the vision issues to MS. What are you doing, Kat? Oh, geez. But I was terrified. So when I saw the ophthalmologist and he suggested that it could be MS, those initial words was kind of a relief, not thinking that I was dying of a brain tumor or a stroke or something like that. But that relief did quickly dissipate into a sadness, really. After the doctor told me,
strawberry's getting wet.
okay, I'm making a video. Can you please go? Stay outside.
Okay.
Thanks. One of our strawberries is finally ripe. Anyways, so it quickly dissipated into a sadness, like just an extreme sadness. After that doctor's appointment in the town that was 2 hours away from the city I lived, my husband and I just went for a walk down by the river, and we were just sitting on a bench the entire time. I was trying to fight back tears, and I might get emotional. We were sitting there on a bench, and he was like, oh, the cat's trying to sneak outside now. He saw this mommy bird feeding her baby birds coming back, and like little baby birds opening their mouths and mommy putting the food in, and he was like look at that, and I couldn't see, and it was really, really sad. And at that point, I had said to my husband, I'm sorry, like, I'm damaged now, our life won't be the same. And I said to him, if you want to leave me, I get it. You don't have to stay with me because I'm broken and I'll just be a burden on you. And of course, when you marry someone and you make that vow for better or for worse, I think it's always easier to imagine that you'd be the one having to help a sick person. You don't think that you're going to be the sick person needing the help. And so it was really hard. And obviously he said, like, that's crazy. He's not going to leave me because of it. Sorry. But it was really hard because you feel broken and you feel not that you don't feel that I didn't feel that it was my fault that I had it, but I felt that it would be my fault that our life wouldn't or might not look the way we had wanted it to look, in terms of hiking with our kids and doing some of that sort of stuff. Thank goodness Mavenclad has seemed to be working really well for me, and I am able to be very active. Over the last 3 days, I've walked over 32 kilometers and helped rip off all the siding of our house. We're sort of in a construction zone state right now with our house. We're getting new siding put on, new windows, but to save a little bit on the labor costs, my husband and I decided to rip off all the old siding ourselves. So we've been very busy working in the heat of the summer, and I've been feeling fine. Sorry, it's gonna be a little bit shaky because I need to go get myself a tissue. Anyways, so that first day after I was told it could be MS, it was emotional, and I cried, and at that point it's hard not to feel a little bit bad for yourself. Sorry, I've made some notes so that I don't ramble too much. So, denial. Then I think I really struggled with some anger. And this will make me sound like an awful person, but I was like, why couldn't it have been other people I know, other people who seem to have less motivation, aren't as active with their kids, things like that. It was like, why is it me? Why is it me when I have 4 small kids? We like to get out and do things all the time. Why am I the one out of my group of friends who has to deal with this? Why couldn't it be so-and-so? Why is it me? Other people, it wouldn't affect their life as much as it's affecting mine. This isn't fair. So I definitely dealt with some anger. I was mad. I was mad at the universe because I didn't feel I deserved it. I felt that I was active. I always like to be out and about and doing things, and I have friends who are just happier to sit at home and do nothing and let their kids watch TV. And so I was like, why couldn't it have been them? Why does it have to be me? And I know that's makes me sound like a bad friend. And yeah, not really proud of having those thoughts, but I definitely did. I felt that there was people who deserved a life-altering diagnosis more than I did. And then it also led me to, that anger also sort of, I was angry because now I have 4 kids, and what if they get it? I had these kids before I was diagnosed, and had I been diagnosed before having children, would I have had children? I might not have, honestly, because I would hate for one of my kids to get it. So that I was also angry at that fact that, I've got 4 kids and it's too late. And now what if, by no fault of my own, but I've signed them up for a life where they have to fight this disease as well. And so I was mad. I didn't like it. I mean, as a parent, you hate the thought of something bad happening to your children, and knowing that maybe I would be responsible for them developing the drug or the disease if it is genetic. It seems prevalent in my family. So I was angry and fearful that my children would get the disease as well. That's obviously, well, not obviously, but thankfully they're young enough and no one has said anything that would make me think that they are even showing any sort of symptom of MS. So I really hope for their sakes that they don't ever develop MS. And then I also, oh, here comes one of them. What do you need? What do you need, Clara?
I need
you have to be very quiet because I'm making a video. And then I think I also went into a depression because, you know, it's life altering and it's a big deal. So I definitely, well, I don't think, I know I did. I definitely fell into a depression where I put on a happy face for everyone, told everyone I was fine, I was coping with the diagnosis, it wasn't getting me down, but it was. It was. And it all sort of came to a head one day. It was pretty close to getting the news that I probably had MS, where I was, so the year prior, I had participated in my first 8-kilometer run, and I was really looking forward to doing it again. But because I had to stop running in September and the run was supposed to be in June, I hadn't registered, I wasn't ready for it, but lots of my friends were doing it. And it also happened to be a day that my husband had gone golfing. So I was alone with the kids and I was just feeling super, super down about the fact that I was not able to do this run. And guys, you need to stay outside. Shh, I'm making a video, you need to stay outside. Clara's got your swords. And I actually just, hurry up guys, please. And hey, Royce, I don't like the game you're playing on trampoline. You're gonna throw someone off the tramp and they're gonna get hurt. No wrestling like that off the sides. Sorry. Again, I haven't learned how to edit, so you're going to have to cope and deal with these interruptions from my little people. Anyways, so it was the day of this run and I wanted to go. My husband was gone. I was with all the kids and I think they were just sort of being bratty that day. And I ended up locking myself in my bedroom and like sobbing. Like those sobs where your whole body is just like retching and it's uncontrollable and you cannot stop. And I probably sobbed for a couple hours. The kids were safe. They were in the house. It's not as though they were in any danger. I just needed that time and I needed to get all those feelings out. And after that, I did feel better. My husband came home. I kind of told him what happened. He gave me a hug, and I ended up going out to see a movie with a friend just to sort of decompress after decompressing, because I really feel that that breakdown, that sob fest, it needed to happen. I needed to get all those feelings out, and that was the way that I did it. So it was good, actually. It was hard and emotional and like gut-wrenching while it happened, but it really helped me process some of those emotions, I think, or deal with all that energy and maybe even despair. But I got it out and then I felt much better. I think I still was slightly depressed for a little bit, and then it was probably October-ish of that year that I had a friend over and she was talking about wanting to make some positive changes in her life. And so the next morning I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take charge and I'm going to feel better. And so I got into meditation. I found this really easy 5-minute meditation. I think it was for gratitude, and I have to say it was life-changing. It absolutely changed my life, changed the way I felt. And from that day forward, I meditated religiously. I've sort of fallen out of it. I hope to get back into it. But it definitely helped me cope with everything. It made everything more bearable. It made everything, it just helped me be at peace with the way my life was. I couldn't change it. There were things I could do to make it better, like taking medication and things like that, but this was my life, and until there's a cure, this is something I'm going to be dealing with. So I found meditation, and that really helped me. I sang its praises and shouted it from the rooftops and told everybody in my life, you have to meditate. Like, it was that life-changing for me. I was probably annoying to people because it was just so powerful for me, moving me through that difficult time and helping me come to terms with the diagnosis, that, to me it was amazing. I still think it is. And then once I started a medication, I actually felt a little bit of shame. I felt ashamed that I don't even know what it was. My husband didn't really want people to know because he didn't want people to treat me differently. And so I think that's where some of this feelings of shame came from. I didn't necessarily care, but then because he did, I felt a little bit of shame for being, we'll say, disabled or having this diagnosis. I don't view myself as a disabled person in any way, shape, or form. But he didn't want people to know. And so when I wasn't drinking at social events and things like that, and people would say, oh, why aren't you drinking? And I would just say, oh, because. And that would always lead to more questions, like, well, are you pregnant? Are you dying? No, I'm not. And so there was a little bit of time where I was a little bit ashamed. I'm happy to say I'm completely over that now. I don't care who knows. I don't go around advertising it, but it's definitely something that I don't care if people know about. And I think that sort of leads into accepting who I am now. I have this disease. I'm taking steps to hopefully lessen the long-term effects of having this disease. I feel as though I'm thriving with it. I don't feel that it's really getting in the way of my life. And I do still have fear that my children could get it, or may end up having it. It's not something you just get, right? It's just something that happens. So I do fear for them still. I don't really fear for myself. I guess I do have a little bit of anxiety around my MRI time because I'm feeling so well. I just hope that I don't have any sort of of those invisible lesions, those lesions that occur but you're don't cause any symptoms until there's more significant damage. And my last MRIs have been good. So I feel like really, all in all, it is a very difficult thing to come to terms with. And I feel that if we treat these types of diseases as we would treat a broken bone, a broken bone causes you physical pain, and that physical pain is what alerts you that there is a problem. And I feel that when you get a diagnosis like this, that emotional pain that you feel is valid, and it is there for a reason. It's there because it's a big deal, and you need to take time to make sure that your mind and your soul and your spirit are okay with this, because it's a big deal. It changes your life whether you want it to or not. It's the nature of being diagnosed with a life-altering disease, is that it's going to change your life. For some people a lot, for some people a little bit. Either way, if you're lucky enough to end up with a course of the disease like I have so far, which is very, very mild, I don't think that means it's any less life altering for you, because it still is. You have to come to terms with it. It's not an easy thing to accept that you have this disease where you feel helpless to stop it. It's not like you can go get a cast and your broken bone will mend. It's not something easy like that. It's complicated, it's multifaceted, it's a dynamic disease. I mean, the disease changes and it's unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. So even if you're right now exhibiting very mild symptoms or experiences with it, there's no guarantee that it won't ever get worse. You can just take a disease modifying therapy and hope for the best, and that's really all that you can do. So I really do think of it as that mental and spiritual pain that you feel once you receive the diagnosis is your body's way of saying you need to just slow down and take some time, figure this out. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay for a little bit. Take that time, find what's going to heal your soul, heal your spirit, bring you up out of that slump, and then do it, because no one would ever judge you for doing that with a broken bone or a sprained ankle. No one should judge you for doing it for your soul and your spirit, because it's just as important to your well-being and your health. But yeah, know that it's not an easy journey, and it takes months. Like it took for me, I feel, to finally reach the acceptance that I have with it and where I am in my life, it took a solid 2 years to really be okay with it, to not feel ashamed when I had to tell someone that I had it, it takes time. It takes time. Even though I was okay with having it, there was still that little bit of shame, and there isn't now. I am not ashamed that I have MS. It's not something that I feel defines me as a person. It is just something I deal with. Other people may deal with high blood pressure. I deal with multiple sclerosis, and it's okay. I don't look at my friends any differently because they have high blood pressure. Hi. What are you doing? Hi. What's that, big boy? You're funny. Yeah, so it's a journey, and it takes time, and it's not easy. It's really not. And yeah, I think that's really it. There are stages to it, but I really encourage people to try and find, if you're struggling, try to find what makes you feel good. And I don't encourage you to pursue it if it is something like alcohol or drugs that is just an escape. I do believe you have to face things head on, and find a way to work through them while still being gentle to yourself. So for me, that happened to be meditation. I don't know what it will be for you, for other people. But I encourage you to find out and then to pursue it as long as it is healthy. If it's dancing, great. If it is listening to the same song that you love on repeat 1,000 times a day, do that. It doesn't matter. I don't know how much Mozart I listened to as well while I was coming to terms with it. Classical music's always been great for me, and I listened to a lot of Mozart, which just, it soothes my soul. It's good for me. So find what helps you and do it. Just unapologetically do it. Take care of you, take care of your soul, your mind, your spirit. No one would judge you if it was for a broken bone, like I've said, or anything else. So do it. And for many people, MS is what, people call like an invisible disease, where I look fine. I don't walk with a limp. You would never know that I have it from looking at me. And actually, that's even what some people have said when I've told them that, or when I remember one person, I reached out for help when I was taking Plegridy, which was terrible for me. I asked her, hey, on the days where I've taken my injection, would you mind taking my kid to school for me because I have MS? And she said, well, I never would have thought that you had MS. Like, I had no idea. And I was like, well, how could you? You would never know. And to me, it's really important. It just always reminds me that you never know what people are dealing with. So always be kind. Anyways, I have rambled, even though you can't fit through that. You're like a 120-pound dog, and that is like a 6-inch opening. You have to go the other side. Go the other side, Ollie. Anyways, now that we've been interrupted by kids and pets, and can you see? Oh, his tail was wagging in the back. There it is. I just really encourage you to... Ollie, thank you. Ollie, no. No thanks. Oh. Find what helps you get through it, and know that it is a process and a journey, and it takes time, and it's okay to not be okay, as long as you don't let yourself dwell in the darkness for too long. I'm just gonna push through, Mom, because, hey, you're movable. Silly dog. Don't dwell in the darkness for too long. But feel it. Feel the feels. Feel the sadness. Feel the anger. Let it go, though. Don't hang on to it. Let it go. And I really hope you all the best in your journey. And please don't ever hesitate to leave me comments. I really do my best to reply to all of them. And I think that's what we're all here for, to be a community for each other and to support one another and lift each other up when they need it, and to know that you're not alone. Everyone, I'm sure, who's been diagnosed with something like this has these feelings, and it's okay, and we can work through them. And yeah, it's scary. It's scary, it's terrifying, but we can do it. And I really feel like we live at a great time to have a disease like this, because there's progress being made daily in research, and even from 20 years ago when my mom was diagnosed to now, there's been leaps and bounds. There was like one drug when she was diagnosed, and now there's 20 plus. It's amazing. So there's options, there's help, there's support, and I wish you all the best.